welcome to this stream for Twitch and YouTube. My name is Mel, or also Marie-Ève, because that's my actual name, or Z Birdbrain, depends if it's my secret identity or not. And thank you for Janelle, who's handling everything in the back. So if there's problem, it's her fault. If we have technical difficulties, we might, sometimes lose sound or something. But everything will be solved in case you guys are worried. And today I am joined with someone really cool, and his name is Greg, and I'll let him introduce himself to you guys. Yay!
Hi there, everybody. I'm Greg. I go by Gregzilla on the internet, and I'm a 2D animator, mostly working in Toon Boom, and I do things such as I work on Spindle Horses shows like Helluva Boss, and I've done work for Smiling Friends and Monkey Wrench and some video game trailers. And yeah, today I'm going to be just kind of hanging out and doing some cool Toon Boom things for everybody.
Beautiful introduction. And speaking of talking about Toon Boom stuff, today, this month, the theme is ink and paint. So we're going to talk about mostly like paperless animation, like frame by frame and stuff, with a little accent on ink and paint.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. And yeah, frame by frame is typically what I focus on. I haven't done much in the way of rig animation, but I know a little bit. But yeah, I tend to do mostly traditional-ish frame by frame animation in my own work and for most of my client work. And so, yeah, today we can just kind of show off some little tidbits and talk about ink and paint, and yeah, we can do all sorts of fun little activities.
Fun times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was trying to get on the stream for the comments, but it was not loading, but now it's fine. Okay.
Okay, good.
Speaking of stream, little boring reminder I have to do all the time. Stream etiquette. So remember, we're here to have fun, so don't be mean, or we're going to kick you out.
Yeah.
You are allowed to ask any questions you want, as long as they're relevant to the subject. And of course, we are not going to break any kind of NDAs for you guys, so don't ask anything about secrets of the industry. And yeah, the stream will be available for video on demand on YouTube about like a week or so later if you guys want to watch it after. And of course, we're going to try to get on to the questions in the chat, but if there's too many, we'll have to choose. So we'll do our best to answer as much as we can. All
you
right.
betcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do we want to start with, I suppose?
I want to know about your journey. Take us on the journey. So can you talk to us a little bit about like your journey learning animation? Because everybody's got a different story. And also an important thing for anyone watching, whenever we ask this question to someone, it's important to also understand the context, like when this happened and stuff. So learning animation today might be a lot different than being able to learn it like back then. So yeah, what is your little journey learning animation?
So I started learning animation when I was pretty young, like 11 is when I first got my hands on some animation software and started really just doing very basic, very, very childish things, just copying animations I saw on the internet, basically just video game parodies, just doodling very silly little things. You're doing video game sprite animations, like as in taking sprites from video games and animating them, just like copying what.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, it's a lot of us went through that phase, and it got us into animation in a very fun and nerdy way.
I bet watching Newgrounds stuff as well.
Oh yeah, yep, Newgrounds was a big place for like, oh look, Mario's fighting Sonic, and they're doing things that they're not allowed to do in the game. Wow.
Like, I found some old like school books and agendas that I had from like elementary school and high school, and like there is replicas of Egoraptors drawing all over the place. Like I was drinking that stuff.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's all sorts of really just fun memories from those days of just seeing animation kind of come into existence on the internet, because we were kind of the age for seeing like no people making anything on the internet to one day, okay, people are starting to like pop up here and there, being creative, making cartoons,
it
and
was
then
such a cool
yeah,
thing.
and like fast forward to now, where it's like, oh, now we have literally people making entire actual TV shows basically on the internet that are
That's crazy
full
when you
production,
think
full
about it.
quality. And yeah, it's very cool to see how it's evolved. So yeah, I kind of started off just watching a lot of that stuff, and then really I didn't take animation seriously until I randomly decided to start doing some like let's play animations of, you know, like Game Grumps, Oni plays those types, and mostly Game Grumps animateds are where I started getting just having more fun with animation and being like, all right, I haven't done this in a while, I'll give it a try. And then for some reason, people started like watching them decently enough. I got in at a point when there weren't a million people doing that.
Yeah,
So
it
like,
was fresh. It was new.
yeah, so I got in at just the right time to get some eyes on me, even though they were very crude little animations, very simple animation. And then eventually, as I got a little bit more views, I was like, you know, maybe I could actually start trying a little harder on these. And so like I was always interested in cartoons and animation, but that was the point. Like once I started getting some views on those silly little animations and then realizing that I was enjoying it, that's when I was like, yeah, I guess I'll make this a career.
But
And
when you
then
take Ingress animated back then, because back then they were just made for fun. Like it was, or was it like a job?
yeah, so the first few like let's play animations I did were just for fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, just because the like Game Grumps put out a few animations of their own, like Ego Raptor animated them, and
Uh-huh.
and then like a few other people started doing it, and I was like, oh, you know, that's a very like beginner friendly way to do an animation, like have a subject, have the audio already ready to go, and just do something really simple and silly. And so yeah, I just kind of made some very simple doodly animations, and then with each successive one, I was like, maybe I'll try a little bit harder in this one. Maybe I'll try making this one a little bit more fancy, a little nicer. And then eventually I was like, all right, I guess this is my career now. Because
That's super cool.
yeah, and yeah, that eventually just led to me like getting in contact with some of the people in those YouTube projects. Like, oh, now I get to do a music video for these guys. Now I get to do a little short thing for these guys. And yeah, just kind of doing let's play animations and a couple of music video snippets, and then a few full music videos. That kind of just got me on the radar in terms of like the animation scene on YouTube and social media. And so that kind of led to me eventually getting on more high profile projects. And now I've basically been on and off doing animation for TV shows and web shows for a few years now. And it's become a pretty stable job. And
That's so
yeah,
cool.
so yeah, you can do it too, everybody.
Yeah, but that's an interesting thing too, because you know when I like when I said like context matter, like of course when you started there was it was less of a popular thing because you know there was less people making animations online. But I sometimes hear especially like students that are like, oh yeah, but like people who make it in these like kind of situation, like they're just lucky. I'm like, yes and no. I
Yeah.
mean, there like luck is a factor into any kind of popularity, that is undeniable, because if people
Yeah.
knew how to be instantly popular, everybody would be popular.
Yeah, exactly. There's a
But
yeah.
oh no, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just adding on to what you said, like, yeah, it's not pure luck, but luck can play a factor. Like, I was lucky that I got interested in animation at a time when there wasn't as many people like doing the same thing I was, and so it was easier for me to get an audience. And like, if someone was doing the exact same thing I did like 10 years ago to get like some recognition, it would be a lot harder for them because now there's so many people doing like what I was doing back
Yeah.
then.
But the thing is that even if luck is involved, you gave yourself a chance at that luck game, right? So like what I'm trying to say with this is that um like guys, put yourself out there, like do these little animations. It is not worthless, like not worth it to do it. It is actually really worth it,
Yeah.
because like popularity doesn't come like in one day. But I don't know for you, but I also used to make like these little animations for fun, and also got hired after, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But even if at first it was just for fun, the amount of stuff I learned doing those is incredible. So yeah, there's always more to the thing. So it's not just about getting picked up. It's also about learning a lot of cool skills that are going to serve you once you get picked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can really just do a lot on your own and like trying out things, just having fun. Maybe look up some learning material on your own time. Try and just brush up on your own skills, and then yeah, you can just kind of gradually build up your skill set, and that'll just make you all the more likely to find work in the industry.
Yeah, because now today we're talking about ink and paint, and that's what you're doing now. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
But in your day-to-day, usually you are more of a rough animator. You do the rough,
yes.
And then it gets handed down the pipeline. So we're going to come back to this. But what I want to get into as well is that when you do these small tidbits of animation, well, when you did these small animations or like these like engrams project or video project, oftentimes you are hired on your own. And of course you can delegate, but that's, it's not always, you don't always have to. You can just do everything yourself. So by doing these small projects, yes, you nailed the rough animation, but you also had to do your own ink and paint and your own compositing. So you learn to be very resourceful doing this, because there's so many students that are like, oh, I only do rough animation, I don't know how to clean up. And I'm like, pick up these small little projects and just learn.
You can literally do like a 5-second animation or shorter, and just like that's a good way to practice other things besides just rough animation, because you don't want your first time doing compositing and cleanup and everything. You don't want your first time on that to be a solo project that's 3 minutes, or on the job. But like, yeah, you just do a really tiny little animation, or just like a loop of a character just bouncing up and down or something, and yeah, then you can really just try learning about what goes into ink and paint, and like what kind of different styles there are, like what kind of tools you can use. And yeah, there's a lot to learn from doing other parts of the process, for sure.
You raise an interesting point too. So by saying like small, small animation, like 5 seconds or something, and I think that's an important point maybe to put emphasis on. I think when learning, especially ink and paint, like especially if you want to learn cleanup, I think the more different scenes you do, the better. So instead of spending 6 months cleaning the same shot that is like 30 seconds long or something, I do agree that it's better to do like small little scenes, so that I don't know for you, but like I like to learn with smaller scenes. So this way, if I feel like I'm failing something, I'll be like, I'm almost done and I'll do better in the next one. I think it just removes a bit of the anxiety from it.
Yeah, and I think it's like just it's just easier to like fit into your lifestyle to do something small, like because we're both working professionals who don't have infinite time to just do like our own personal projects, and so if we want to try out some new techniques or just try making something that looks cool, it's easier to do something small. And like that's what I'm doing right now. This isn't even necessarily a shot that's going to be in a full video or anything. This is more like a test, but I'm just working on an idea for just like a series of a couple short videos that would involve like some cool looking anime-ish characters.
Nice.
Because like for years I've been like on the back burner having my idea for this epic super long show that's going to be like full production values.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all have those ideas, and I think part of growing up is just learning when it's time to like maybe scale back a bit, because like even making something small doesn't mean it has to be like not exciting. Like some of the best like cartoons on YouTube these days are pretty short ones. Like you got like Big Top Burger, you got a little longer but still fairly short with Punch Punch Forever, stuff like that. And yeah, all sorts of animation styles. So yeah, I've been trying to come up with more small scale ideas, and this is just something I'm working on, just like some cool action sequences with cool characters. And yeah, I like action, so I want to just do something that doesn't require years and years of preparation, just something I can just do a little fun art project.
Oh yeah, I think it's not recently, but when I like was more of an animator, like officially, I guess, I think one of the animation I really that you made that really caught my eyes is silly, but I think it was like a Spyro animation.
Oh
And
yeah,
I was
that
like,
was
oh, that looks so cool.
yeah, so that was a little bit of my ways into learning Toon Boom, and that kind of like series of videos that I did was just like a bunch of like small experimental animations that I did on YouTube a few years ago. That was sort of when I was getting more to grips with Toon Boom,
Yeah,
and that
because I
was
think I would see a
yeah.
lot of like Flash animations all my life and stuff. But I think like your little Sparrow thing, I think it was the first time I was seeing something that didn't look Flash. I was like, oh, what is that? So I was also learning Toon Boom at the point, so it was interesting.
Yeah, I was in the process of like getting to grips with Toon Boom for a lot of those, and I'm very happy I did. I've never been not to sound like a shill, but I've never been more happy to like switch over to a different program because
Same.
yeah, like yeah, man, it's I very much appreciate all of Toon Boom's just quality of life features and how drawing with all the tools feel good to draw with, like vector brush, vector pencil, bitmap brush. They all feel good. I draw the lines with these things, and I'm just like, yes, I'm drawing. I'm not wrangling.
You're not
a weird
fighting
program.
against
No, yeah, that's
the brush. Like I respect Flash for what it brought us when we were younger and learning. Like we can't spit on our origin stories.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm very grateful for having switched to Harmony these days.
Yeah, and it's like it's just got a lot of great features that I am very happy to use in my daily flow. Just like even things like syncing layers so the timing is the same between them, or just like
Oh yeah.
the light table, just stuff like that. Simple things that make it a lot more like a traditional, nice drawing experience.
By the way, we have heard the request to get the light table on even when we play back.
Yeah.
But like like it has been heard, but choices had to be made, and it didn't make it. It didn't make the cut for 24, but maybe in the next one. Okay, so I just
Maybe
want
in
to say we
25.
didn't forget, but
Yeah,
we thought
that's
about it.
yeah, that's my little running gag is my request for having the light table on during playback. You can still get the same effect by just adjusting the alpha
I
on
know, but
different
it's so
layers,
annoying.
but this, yeah, having this on during playback would be just lovely.
Like this is really on my list as well, but yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, can't
um,
complain too much. Still, Toon Boom saves me more time than it takes away.
yeah. Do you have like some examples of why it does save time? Like maybe about like when you ink your animation, is there some things that makes it faster and just more pleasant?
Yeah, so let me think of some things like for inking specifically. So, uh, in general, just like a big part of it is just the fact that the brushes feel good. I know that's pretty basic, but just the fact that they're very responsive and very customizable is very nice. And like also just having the render view is a great way to see like a preview of how it's actually going to look.
Right, that
Because
is true.
when you're actually just working with vector lines, it can be easy to like zoom in really far and be like, oh, this looks so like rough and weird.
And then you render.
Yeah, and then you realize, oh wait, yeah, none of this stuff is actually gonna be noticed or visible because it's like, yeah, people they're not gonna be zooming in. B, the resolution is gonna be compressed in the final export, and so it's gonna look softer. So having the render view just be a button to press whenever you want is very handy for reminding yourself what not to focus on.
I think in that same vibe of idea, one thing I like when doing cleanup like this is to alternate. Like you can press on Shift and M to get your camera back, and then like if you zoom, for example, on the eye of the character, if you press Shift M, it's going to go back to the real camera size, and if you press again, it's going to go back to the eyes. So I like to, if I focus, I can just like with one button zoom out and zoom in without fighting it. That I do like.
Yeah, I love that. And it looks like this has the same effect. Yeah, this button down here, very small, but it's
oh yeah, exactly.
Reset view. Yeah, so it resets the default position, but remembers the one you had it at a second ago.
That's so sweet. I love
Very
it.
nice.
And just rotating. I see you rotating your screen a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember not to do that too much so the audience doesn't get nauseous.
Oh, but please do. Please do. Because
Yeah.
it's so important. If anyone listening here like wants to learn more about cleanup, I don't know if you agree, but one thing I always push is that if you clean up, rotating your screen is so important because then you get to follow the natural arc of your arm. And it's so important because this prevents you from getting injured too much when you draw. Because if you always keep your screen locked in, then you're like your body's gonna compensate to make like these curves and stuff, and this is how people often get injured while drawing. So rotate your screen, people. Do it.
Yeah. Yep, and it's very easy to do, and just like I have a custom like keyboard shortcut set up for it because I'm actually using a keypad on my left here. I'm using a Razer keypad that's just like a little mini keyboard that's kind of more hand shaped, where it's got a hand rest and a little thumb pad with a few like nicely shaped buttons nearby.
I need to get one for myself.
Yeah, I recommend it if you're. I mean, obviously, you don't have to go spending a bunch of money on accessories if you're doing fine without them. But I like the keypad I have a lot because I can very easily, like, it's easier for me to hit my shortcuts and customize it for maximum efficiency. And yeah, it's got like a little knob that you can hit with your thumb that has 4 different buttons on just the one knob, like depending on where you tilt it. So that's good for like undo, redo, zoom in, zoom out.
Yo, do you know you can use Joy-Con's controller with Harmony?
I
it is so cool.
Yeah, I heard that people were starting to do that with art software, and like, yeah, that is cool. I think there's probably
like
some
you can use the Joy-Cons, like the joysticks go back and forth, like have the buttons for like Control Z or rotate. It's so useful. I love it.
Yeah, and that's really funny because that's probably like a better use of Joy-Cons than actually playing the games with Joy-Cons. So.
Depending what game you're playing, as long as you don't play Smash Brothers with it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's it's funny those because there's plenty of tablet like keypad accessories that are shaped kind of like Joy-Cons already,
right?
So it makes sense.
With the price they cost, might as well give them another use.
Yeah, if you're an artist and a gamer, then
let's go.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Earlier we were talking about like making these small snippet projects, and I know that you do a lot of work for other people because such is the life of an animator. But what usually drives you to create your own little projects, like either this animation or I know you've been working on your stories as well?
So I guess what drives me to make stuff like that is just still kind of the innate desire to make your own thing. Like I get to work on a lot of cool projects for other people, like their worlds, their ideas, and it's a lot of fun. But I think it's just natural that like you'd want to make something of your own that you can call your own sometimes too. And like I'm pretty happy being a cog in the system for my career, because it's like less pressure. It's still you got to do a good job, but it's like okay, I don't have to do literally the idea making and the drawing and the cleaning and the sound, and
you get to interpret other people's thoughts and stuff. So I think it's great. It's cool.
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of skill to be learned from like learning how to draw other people's characters or other people's styles. And so yeah, that's been a lot of fun just getting to work with other styles. But yeah, sometimes I just get the itch to make something of my own, and like a lot of times it comes when I'm watching something that I really like or playing something that I really like. I love like seeing cool action scenes in anime. I love seeing giant monsters, Godzilla type stuff. I love,
do you sometimes watch them frame by frame like how you do?
Yes, I go to the website Sakugaburu.
Sakuga.com.
Yeah, if you want to like look through just anime or other animation in general, but a lot of anime, there's just a site called Sakugaburu where you can just look up shows or artists or categories and just look at silent clips of anime and flip through them, and they're like categorized by what show they're from, what's in them, what kind of techniques are being used.
Watching effects with this is tasty.
Yeah, if you can just look up explosion and you
can
see like pages and pages of anime explosions, and it's a lot of fun. It's great for just a quick kick of inspiration.
Speaking of drawing other people's ideas, there is this common, very not cool misconception that inking animation is just tracing someone else's work. And I'm like, yes, nope. But no.
No, like if you want to say like you were tracing somebody else's lines, it's like, yeah, if you want to boil it down to that, that's technically not incorrect, but there's a lot more like thought that goes into it, and it still takes skill. You're not just mindlessly tracing lines. You still got to like make sure the end product is looking how the project requires it to look.
what are some of these skills? I know that when I think of inking, if I try to hire like good inker, or like if I just look at people's work, I think one of the first things that comes to mind is like the line weights, like what you have there, to put more emphasis on the crunch in the face, the eyes, like, you know, the line weight has a lot to do with it. So
yeah, line weight is one of the biggest factors when it comes to what your final line art is going to look like, and that really depends on the project you're on, and you got to be able to like work within the parameters of like the style they're going for. Like, so for instance, this drawing that I'm doing for myself, I'm doing a lot of rough lines. I'm doing a lot of line weight variation. I'm
looks
kind of just,
good.
yeah, thank you. I'm kind of just exploring the style as I go. I may or may not do a full animation with this style. Maybe make it thicker, maybe make it thinner. Probably thinner if I'm going for anime look. But like, then there's plenty of projects where cleanup will want you to do just uniform lines, which here I could find an example.
Isn't it like that in Smiling Friends, if I remember?
Yes, so Smiling Friends uses Flash, and they use the pencil tool for cleanup for the most part. And they have a bunch of different animation styles, but for their main characters, they do, yeah, just simple pencil lines like this. No real tape. I think some slight tapering on,
Like for the mouth, I think there's like tapering.
yeah, I remember like, and instead of like drawing with tapered lines, sometimes we would just do this, select this part, and then press a button that would taper it, which
Oh
I
yeah,
think you can do that in Toon Boom as well,
kind of.
but it's like
There's
it's a
ways.
little different. But yeah, you can. There's a lot more to customize in Toon Boom, and a lot more to get it looking correct more easily.
But at the same time, like, it works for Smiling Friends, and that's cool. It's just that, you know,
Yeah.
people have to remember there's so many different ways to ink something or to work. So
Yeah, absolutely. And you can, like, different software has different tool options within the software. Like, yeah, like if I wanted to make something that looks a little bit more like an actual typical anime, like I could use a very simple one size brush like this with no width variation, and that would save time because I'm not thinking of as much about where the lines would pool and get thicker. But you also run the risk of it looking a little bit flat, with where you could inject a little bit more personality. But yeah, there's a lot to think about with cleanup, because maybe if you have a lot of animation frames like a traditional Disney movie, you don't think as much about the line quality because it's all going to be so much motion that every single individual frame doesn't need to have perfect, super cool lines. And then something like, I don't know, like something like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where the animation is a lot more limited because the characters are so detailed. Like
it's
maybe
so many
that
shadows
show,
and stuff.
yeah, they'll have more like points on the face where the shadows are thicker or the lines are thicker or thinner here and there, and like that just adds more visual interest to characters that are standing still a lot more of the time. So yeah, a lot of it just depends on the art style.
And at the moment, what technique are you using to clean up your animation? Because I mean, I know, but the audience doesn't know. So can you describe what you're doing?
Right. So I'm using the brush tool, so the vector brush tool that Toon Boom has, and I'm using a customized brush, the Greg vector brush. That is, it's not that different from some of the default brushes. I just tweaked the pressure sensitivity a little bit to be what I like to use. But so yeah, I'm just kind of, as I'm talking, I'm just kind of doing this as like second nature as I can, because it's like, it's a little hard to like really.
It is very hard. I don't know how you're doing it.
I'm just kind of going on autopilot as best I can. But yeah, so what I'm doing is just kind of thinking about the creases and the main points of focus. So like the creases are sort of in the eyebrow meat, whatever you want to call it, and the eyes. The face is always where your eye is going to be drawn like automatically on a character. So that's like generally a good choice to put more detail and more polish into the face. And right now I'm doing just sort of line width variation, thinking about like what parts are touching each other, what parts are kind of floating. Like this part of the mouth is floating a little bit higher above the jaw, and so I'm making that a little thinner.
Yeah, so that it looks lighter and stuff. It's very nice.
Yeah, and then like parts here, it's like, oh, these kind of scaly lumps are kind of touching and connecting in these parts, and then the lighting might be hitting the. Oh yeah, I should probably pay more attention to my lighting that I've done in the sketch, which I did kind of anime Genga style.
It looks very good.
Thank you. It's always a rush of inspiration every time I see any Genga art like this, where it's just like the colored blocking of the outlines and shadows and stuff. It just something about it looks very like animatory,
appealing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if I pay attention to that more, I could focus more on like, okay, this light's coming from this way, so I can make the lines over here a little lighter, and then maybe a little darker over there.
I do that too. I love doing that, like the heavier line art where in the shadows. And...
Yeah.
Yes,
very appealing.
So you're using a textured bitmap. So like it's basically drawing bitmap but on a vector layer. I'm wondering why do you prefer this over a pure bitmap layer?
Well, this is actually
I have a hunch, but I don't know.
So this is actually just a untextured vector. So there's not a texture on this one, but there are textured vectors. But actually, I'm doing vector cleanup because I figure if I was to do a longer animation with a lot of complicated movement and just a lot of layers and a lot of stuff to keep track of, that's when I would probably want to use vectors, because vectors are easier to adjust later on if you need to do anything to them after you've already drawn them.
Yeah.
So like, let's see, if I want to be really fast, I didn't draw that vector in the right position. Just get the contour editor, pull that over there, or the center line editor, and move that there.
Yeah, I really love to do that.
Yeah. So yeah, feeling out the brush shapes with quick edits like this, if necessary, is very nice to have.
Because I don't
tend to use those very much, but it's very. If you want a clean look, those are very helpful tools.
Yeah, and I hear it sometimes where people are like, "Oh, cleaning up in vector, this is cheating." I'm like, "Oh, shut up!" It's not cheating. It's, you do what you have to do to achieve whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But one of the advantages of using either a full vector or a textured vector on a vector layer instead of going full bitmap for cleanup, because the first thing that comes to mind to people is like, I don't want my animation to look cheap. I don't want to copy paste from one frame to the other. Fair. But, like, there's more to vector cleanup than just copy pasting stuff.
Yeah.
Like Greg, you just said, like, just to tweak and move things a little bit. Like, if you're on a full bitmap layer and you're trying to move like the iris of your character a little bit, then you would need to like take a lasso tool and try to move it. It would be like, oh my god, so annoying.
Yeah.
But because it's vector, it's so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, you make them big, then the pixels get blurry because that's just how bitmap works.
But at least in Harmony, even if you take a textured bitmap and you like rotate or translate it, it doesn't lose quality like in other softwares. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I will not name shame, but
yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. Although that kind of warped a little bit when.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. But I mean, if you take like the transform tool and you just like rotate a bitmap thing, you're not gonna lose quality. In other softwares, you do. It's just kind of sad.
yeah. So some other software, it will like crunch it down. But bitmap is very nice in Toon Boom, and for general, when I'm using tools for rough animation, I'm almost always doing it in bitmap layers because I love the way the sketchy pencils I've got feel.
But it's on a bitmap layer. It's not a vector layer where you use bitmap brushes.
Right. So this is a bitmap layer.
Yeah.
So this is a bitmap layer, bitmap brush, and then this is a vector layer, vector brush.
But when you create your bitmap, you mean you create a vector layer, but you set it to bitmap in the little menu, right?
Yeah, so if I make a new drawing here.
Oh, and then, so that's why, because I was looking, I'm like, these are, like, in your timeline, it's a vector layer. I'm confused. So that's why.
I think, in the timeline, I don't think they have different icons.
They do?
They do? For vector and bitmap layers?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's my bad. Because if you import like a bitmap image, it has a different logo because it's
Oh,
bitmap. And in
yeah.
Storyboard Pro as well, but not in Harmony. This is me being confused.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It might be different if you import an image compared to
Yeah.
just making a bitmap drawing layer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's pros and cons
Interesting.
to both styles. But yeah, I really like the bitmap brush for roughing. And then here I can actually show a different file that I have open that's used more bitmap
Please
tools.
do.
So this is my little avatar or Sona or PNG guy, whatever you want to call him. I just started making a little PNG tuber
It's
for
your Greg Sona.
yeah, my Greg Sona. It's Greg with Greg. And yeah, so I made this just to kind of put in the corner of Twitch streams. And this is mostly bitmap, all bitmap for lines and vector for colors. Because vector, I pretty much never color with bitmap because there's too many conveniences to coloring with vector. So like you got the swatches for all these things that are so much easier to adjust and like, oh, I want to look sunburnt. There I go.
Poor guy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even in feature films, oftentimes like the liner will be bitmap, but the color is almost always vector because it's so great. And oh my
Yeah.
god, the chat from YouTube and Twitch was like not working for me, but now it does. So I want
Yeah.
to say hi to like there's Zamokult, there's Lutriarch, there's Proco also in the chat. Hi Proco.
Oh, Proco's here. Wow.
Yeah.
Hello, Proco.
There's also Galaxy Whisper. There's a bunch of people. Marco Fernandez. There's so many people. I'm making shout outs here.
Wow.
And also C Art LA. There's so many people. That's so cool. Thank you for showing up, guys. Don't forget if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Mostly.
Feel free. I'll answer as best I can. I have the Twitch chat open. I don't have the YouTube chat open. So if there's any cool YouTube questions, feel free to just read them out.
Yeah. Oh, and Perko says using the tools available to you isn't cheating. It's totally valid use of the medium. Right?
Exactly.
Praise.
Yep. Yeah. There's really no cheating when it comes to these kinds of tools, except AI. But anyway.
Oh, don't open that little box of worm.
But yeah, the vector tools, bitmap tools, tweens, rigs, they're all valid animation techniques. They're all useful in their own ways. So yeah, I can kind of show off what I've got for this guy here. This is this is a bitmap layer and this I can also show off the art layers in Toon Boom as well. So this is the line art of my eyes on this little Sona, and it's got the separate art layer. So these are the art layers, which are separate from the timeline layers. Each layer can have sub layers basically, and this is the layer where the vector art is on. So the vector color art is what I've used to color the eyes there, and so I can move the color art separate from the bitmap line art. And another great thing for stuff like that is you can just press, by default, you can press the K key and it'll show you where the strokes are for your colors or any vector information there is going to be shown as a blue stroke. And that's just a very nice way to keep track of like where all the actual vector points are.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can just like draw a quick little circle. And like, yeah, there. So now it's probably hard to see on stream, but you can, here, I'll make it black. So yeah, you can see that even though this is all just one shape, they didn't get flattened together. So the vector data is still there and I can adjust these points and keep track of where everything is. And if I draw another line there, it'll, yeah, so it shows, it looks like it, kind of disappeared into the middle there.
It's vanished.
Oopsie.
Whoopsie doopsie.
But yeah, that's just very nice to have when you're working with separate color and line art layers, because then you can kind of see where the color is underneath the lines. And I can show that off in some other pieces too. Like, yeah, here's the head layer, which is, there's no animation happening on this layer. So like the eyes are separate layers, so I can animate them separately. And this layer is just same idea. can press K to toggle on the vector points enough that you can see kind of like the different blocks of color there. But I felt like sticking with bitmap for the line art because I like the way it looks, and it looks nice and pencil-y.
Yeah, it's very cute. It's like just crunchy enough.
Yeah, and I like when animation has a little bit of a handcrafted look to it. I like a little bit of roughness in the lines. So I definitely want to play with that more.
I love the way you draw the hair. It's very cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to find cool ways to stylize hair. I've been
I love to see the evolution of your haircuts and your animations.
Yeah, I used to just draw this for hair because when I was younger making my own little version of myself, I wasn't really paying attention to what I actually looked like. I was just copying Ed's world, basically.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like I think kids just generally, when they're drawing themselves, they're just like, okay, big eyes, the hair is shaped like this because that's what hair looks like, and then there, that's that's how we all draw ourselves.
Yeah.
Then later on, I was like, maybe I should make me look more like me. And yeah, I think I don't regret that decision. I think it worked out for the better.
Of course.
And it's just a fun exercise to like caricature yourself or somebody else, like see how you can interpret a real person into a cartoon and still capture their likeness.
Yeah. Speaking of exercises, actually, like to learn anything, I think doing little exercise is such a fun activity. And when it comes to like cleanup or character design, but I'll start with cleanup. Some fun activities that you can do if you're trying to learn it is to clean up other people's drawing, but not just random things on the internet like I used to do as a kid. But also like one of my best friend is a character designer, and she really doesn't like to ink her drawing. So for a while, I was her own personal inker. I was inking a lot of her drawing because I was like, there's a lot I can learn from, tracing over your art and stuff. Well, not tracing, inking, because it's not the same.
Not tracing, inking.
But also, I would take drawings and just literally trace them, trying to understand how shape works. And the reason for that is first, everybody's different. Some people have what I call like a projector mind, where they can look at something, they're going to project the image on paper and just draw it. I can't do that. I don't have a good like visual memory, but I understand better things when I actually like do them. So when it came to anatomy, like muscles, like you're doing right now, I did years and years of like weekly, like almost daily figure drawing, like drawing from seeing like bodies and drawing the muscles and stuff. It never did much. But then I started to change my approach. And instead, I would take people that succeed at drawing anatomy, like Proko over here. Yeah. And I would, instead of drawing only from watching naked people, I would also watch others' interpretation and then trace, or like, well, sometimes you actually do trace over it and sometimes just reinterpret what they interpreted, which is fantastic. But always remember that if you only do this, it's not good either. You have to do a mix of the two, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like you said, like people will tell you to study from real life, and then people tell you to study from artists, and it's like, yeah, just do both. It's
because I do think that studying only from real life, I think, is not the best advice for everyone, because not everybody has a good way to like schematize this information. So I do like to have a good balance of both. I wish I knew that earlier.
And I think so too, because like you get a lot of like skill and interesting results from studying other artists, and it's like you'd be silly to block yourself off from that kind of information and knowledge. And it's like, because obviously if I don't know, if you're trying to make cartoons and there's certain cartoon artists that appeal to you greatly, you're naturally going to want to like learn from them and understand like, okay, what makes this so appealing to me. I try and go back and forth between studying real life and studying like art as well, because when you study only art, you can kind of just become a mishmash of the things you're looking at. and not necessarily have your own take on reality.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only studying reality, then you're kind of
You're
ignoring
missing
a
out.
lot of you're missing out on a lot of the appeal and a lot of the cool, like, charming ideas that artists have given us over the years. Because like artists are inspired by other artists and other art. Like you can like lots of great art is inspired by, oh, this happened to me in my life, but there's plenty of art that's like, oh, I was inspired by this movie or this video game or something.
Yeah,
Like,
and if you're an artist like starting out or something, or even not starting out, but just want to learn something new, like exchanging animation with a friend that you know, like someone you can actually talk with, is so fun. Like just cleaning up, like have one thing you can do with a friend is just each roughs out like a 5 second animation or something, and then you swap and you clean each other's animation. It's so
yeah,
nice because then you talk to the person as well, not just like ink from a stranger's perspective.
yeah, and like just collaborating with other artists in general is super valuable. Like that's where a lot of the best opportunities come from, is just working with other artists and just doing activities, doing projects with people, because that's when you get to really experience like the different kinds of knowledge you can get from other people, see how other people tackle the same kind of problems you do, and what they can learn from you, what you can learn from them. And yeah, I think it's also just good to get out of your own little comfort zone of your own ideas sometimes, because definitely when I was younger, I was that kind of young inexperienced artist that was like, yeah, someday I'm gonna make my own show and I'm gonna do it all by myself and I'm not gonna have anybody else's like input, and I'm gonna do all the animation, all the character designs, everything. And now it's like, nah, that's too much for one person generally. And
Yeah,
like,
teaming up is super fun.
yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to be had from teaming up. You get experience, you get cool new ideas, you get new perspectives.
It's like that one time I told you I asked you help to draw a stupid porcupine's face, and I looked at how you drew it and I was like, oh my god, that's so smart. And
I don't even remember that.
You don't remember?
The porcupine face? Was this like many years ago?
Probably like
Or
maybe 2, 3 years. I don't know.
uh,
But like just one silly drawing to me like opened up, so because I was like, oh, so that's how, like, that's an interesting way to draw nostrils. Oh, like a muzzle. Oh my god! I've 100% integrated that into how I draw from one drawing.
Cool.
So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
But yeah, artists helping each other out is so wholesome and it's nice. We all learn together.
Yeah, and yeah, there's not just one way to learn. There's like, and especially on the internet, there's so many different things to learn from. You can watch like anatomy videos, you can watch like videos of actual real life people just doing things or moving their bodies in a way that informs you how the muscles work.
Shaking a little bit.
Yeah, you can look up a butt, and draw a butt, and you learn how to draw a butt.
Yeah. I had a question and I forgot, so I'm just gonna go to my little list then. Oh yeah, that's a good one. What are some common problems that can occur in the pipeline concerning ink and paint?
So probably the the most common problem that really there's no way around is that no matter what, when you're inking, there's going to be times where it's time to color it in and the gap is not closed. And that's going to be like inevitable for most projects, is that you have the line art done and you realize, the color isn't filling in with the bucket, so I have to go and find the gap to close.
Yeah.
Which is easier to get around if you're working with a very clean style or very simple designs. Something like this that I'm doing right now is going to be a little harder if there's a missing gap. But that is also where the showing the strokes comes in nicely.
Yeah.
Because now you can see like the blue strokes a little hard to see here. Let me try and make it a little more.
Yeah, I think it's more evident with like the pencil tool though, because I don't think they show you like open gaps with the brush. Yeah, that would be nice for the future.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, it's more for the pencil.
So yeah, I'll just switch to the pencil for a little bit, and yeah. So the pencil tool handles strokes better because the brush tool uses fills. fills versus strokes, which is always like hard to explain without going into a lots of.
I have a video about it, so it's all good. I'm just gonna link it.
Watch Seabird Brain on YouTube to understand what the heck I'm talking about.
But I have a video specifically about that because I was tired of explaining it in support videos.
But yeah, like once you use both tools enough, you kind of understand. Like, okay, yeah, because pencil tool is better if you want to really do a lot of like line adjusting. So if you want a really specific line to be absolutely perfect, then the pencil tool is your friend because you can very nicely edit it without ruining textures or pixels or anything.
I think to me, one thing that I noticed that is a common problem that happens in inking, or even like sometimes like putting the animation on model, is missing details. So specifically for inking, I'm gonna talk about like, because I cleaned so many things and supervised so much stuff on the like a daisy pilots,
right?
Full of cats, full of stripes,
lots of cats,
lots of cats, and and cats have specific markings. And for the creature you're drawing at the moment, it would be less of a problem because the way that it's made, like there's a lot of groups of threes. So like there's 3 plates on the shoulder, 3 plates on the arm. So this, as a cleanup artist, I could manage. But if you have like something with like a striped shirt or striped tail, that is something that I do know that when I clean up sometimes or color, it can get very messy. So one advice I have for this, if you're doing this in animation, because oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, depending on the time, like if you're cleaning up, the mistake might come from you, like you made a mistake in cleaning and you added 1 more stripes on a few frames and stuff. But more often than not, the mistake can come from the animation itself. Because while you animate, you just like this, your brain decides that the tails can do with one less stripe, which is not a problem when you animate, but when color comes in, you do see the problem. And fixing it after the fact is usually longer than while you're doing it.
Yes.
It's not hard. It's just time consuming, and it's time I'd rather not do. So one advice that I can give in this situation, if you have like stripes or any kind of details like this that repeats, is as you animate, maybe not in the animation, but at least in the key poses, you can use like the little X. Just run X where it's like the darker color, for example. And you can do that in your key poses, and it's so useful. And I know that in anime they do that also for negative space, to make sure that nobody inks it in.
So yeah, both of those techniques are something that I see other animators do on productions that I work on sometimes, and sometimes I'll do it. And yeah, that is something that a lot of the Helluva Boss animators will do. Like,
I mean, you have a choice. Every character has like 5,000 stripes.
Exactly. So yeah, like Blitzo from Helluva Boss, he has black and white striped horns. So sometimes in the rough phase, it's easier to just quickly do like, oh yeah, here's his horn, here's his stripes. These ones are filled in black, so I did that wrong, but
see,
but yeah, there. So like I marked the wrong stripes. So yeah, that is totally acceptable for later on in just coloring and filling.
It can get annoying if you do it on every frame of a rough, but usually just doing it every couple frames means that you will in between it right and stuff. So
yeah,
little advice here of the day.
Yeah. And like that kind of stuff comes in handy when a frame is getting very cluttered. So like, let's say for no reason there's supposed to be like a hole here, like that goes to the background in his hair.
Oh yeah,
totally unrealistic. But so yeah, if it was just blind art, there'd be no way to tell that wasn't just another piece of hair. So you'd want to like put another X, maybe like I use a red X for negative space.
Smart.
Because that's a good way to just look like, okay, that's probably not the same as everything else that's in the character there.
Very good, very good. Yo, we only have 5 minutes left. Where the heck did time go? Like, these sessions are always so chill. Thank you. It's so
time
fun.
flies by when you're drawing in Toon Boom.
Toon Boom. Oh, what? This is an interesting question I totally forgot to ask. Well, not forgot, because I tried to keep these as fluid as possible. Like, I'm not going to be like, stop the conversation. I have a question. But what are some things you would have liked to know before starting to ink and paint your first couple scenes? Way back when.
Way back when.
Way back when. We're
Hmm.
old.
Yeah. Now we could say back in my day.
Back in my days.
I guess something I always am so bad at the, like, if you could go back in time, like, questions. But I guess just,
More like, what
I
are
think,
some common mistakes you made in the past that you don't do today because now you know better?
yeah, I guess, like, just, like, man, I'm struggling because
Okay,
I'm
well,
going,
okay, but let's make a question about anything regarding animation, not just ink and paint, because even
okay.
I cannot find anything about ink and paint actually, but animation in general.
Yeah, I think if I were to, like, look at the mistakes I was making when I was younger, a lot of it was just uh like yeah, just not understanding the most efficient way to use tools, and there's still some habits I have nowadays where I'm like, maybe making a little bit more work for myself than I need to. How sometimes simpler is better,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just don't get too stuck using just one tool for a job when there's, like, better options. Like, I guess, for, like, there's definitely times in the past where I was more strict with myself about, like, only use this brush, you can't use anything else, no other tools. And now it's like, nah, if I need to fix this line, look, there's a button for that. Dude. So it's like, it's good to keep in mind just that it's not like a test of your own personal will every time you have to accomplish a task. It's more just like, just think about how it's going to look in the end. Don't overwork yourself for stuff that the audience isn't gonna even, like, see
Notice.
or like,
You know,
yeah.
I think that's a good advice. I think that's what I would advise. Like, I wish when I started, I knew how little actually your audience will care about
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
things.
Yeah, no one is going to care about the details in your work as much as you.
Yeah, and if they do, like,
Then they're
whatever.
weird.
Like, no one's gonna zoom as much as you do. Like, everybody watches animation on their stupid phone anyway, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, and that's even just like a piece of advice is, remember that, like, the stuff you're working on at this level is not as important as the overall picture.
oh yeah, I
Like,
wish I would have paid more attention like that in the
yeah,
past.
most shows or movies you watch, they're gonna have tons and tons of weird little, like, wrong looking things if you
But
zoom
that's
in
okay.
and frame. But that's not how animation works. It's about the moving, the whole image.
If it looks good as a whole, you're fine.
Yeah, and that's why it's like people who take smear frames from, like, anime and be like, look how wrong they drew this character.
Ugh.
It's like, hey, you can shut up now. That's incorrect. No, it's about how it moves in the scene.
You
That's
think
not to
your
say you
spray
can't do
bottle,
it
you go
wrong.
like, shut
Yeah. Yep. Wrong.
up.
Because yeah, it's good to. I think that's just good for any level animator to hear, is just step back and think about the whole, like, of the image and of the animation as it moves. Because, like, there might be things that you're focusing on that feel like they're very important, when in reality it's like, oh wait, that thing I spent hours drawing goes by in literally less than a second, and maybe I could have spent that time better elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing that I wish I knew before was the select by color tool. Because
Yes.
sometimes if I clean up or animate using vector layers, even if it's a bitmap vector, it's fine. As long as it's a vector layer. If you draw something in, let's say that creature, I drew it all in blue or something, but like some, actually I drew it in black, and like you see here, like this little tuft of hair on the side with like the three branches, I did it another color, then it would be easy to like just adjust it using the select by color and stuff. So I do like that tool quite a lot.
Yeah, I use that sometimes when, like, I
If the style is good.
yeah, if the style is good and I want to, like, make an adjustment, because usually for vector layers I try and keep them one color for, like, roughs and lines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you'll get lots of colors on, like, once you get to coloring. So, but yeah, if, like, let's say you did a bunch of drawing on this character and you're like, oh no, I realized I shouldn't have been putting all those red pieces there. That's annoying. Now I have to go back and delete them all one by one. No, you don't. Select by color. Boop, all gone.
Like I used to do this a lot because I worked on Big Hero 6 in the past, and there was this blue character, let's say Fred, like he used to wear like this blue suit with that Spitfire and stuff, and he had so many markings, so many spots.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like the spots I would group them by color so that I could just like nudge them and edit them a bit better, like small little things here and there, instead of making like this all layer for it. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. So
yeah, is that all the time we have?
Almost. Like, do you have anything you want to add that we didn't talk about? Little last comment or something?
Let me think. I think we hit most of the points on my expertise for these things because, like I said, I mostly do rough animation these days. But yeah, I guess that last few topics we touched on are just good to keep in mind. Just like don't necessarily fret about every pixel in this eyeball looking perfect for the audience. Think more about the whole of the picture and think about how long is this drawing going to be on screen versus this one. Like obviously that's what like keyframes and in-betweens are for. Oh, that's another thing I love about Toon Boom is marking drawings as different.
Oh, right. Oh my god, that is such a good feature. Mark drawing and flip, so useful.
Yeah, when your timing, your timeline gets really like messy and cluttered and complicated, that's when these little marked colors are very handy.
Yeah. And I always ask if there's anything you want to talk about because sometimes I have guests that come, they're like, oh, I planned this, but we forgot. So, just in case you didn't have anything that you really wanted to say or something.
Yeah, I think we hit pretty much everything.
I think so too.
Sweet.
So,
well, yeah, this has been lots of fun.
Yeah, thank you for passing by. And is there any links that I can share in the chat that you want me to share? Just send it to Discord and I'll copy paste.
Yeah, sure. So there's let's see, looks like they put some links already in the Twitch chat, but I'll send a link to my animation reel on YouTube.
There we go. I'll put it there.
The YouTube chat if you want. And because yeah, most of my things to show publicly these days are just in the shows I work on. So hopefully I'll have some time to make something cool of my own and show it off one of these days. Get a new reel going.
And I'll be here to help you out if you do.
Yeah.
We're just stick together.
Toon Boom pals. And yeah,
but that's actually. Oh no, go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say you still have that avatar that I drew for you as your profile pic. I should probably make a new one and see it and update it.
I love it so much, and whenever I look at it, I'm like, oh, like a friend made it, so it just makes it even better. I'm corny like that.
That's what art's all about. It's about making friends.
Yeah, and even like little small snippet of like story, but for Gangrams, they have like there's like the bank of animators and stuff, and lately they've been trying to like they have work and stuff, and we have deadlines. But I've seen like on our Discord server, like whenever someone can't meet a deadline, other animators are like, "Oh, we'll help you out," and I'm like, that is so freaking wholesome. Yeah. Like it was one guy who couldn't meet the deadline or was about to not to meet it, and was like, "If you need help, like comping or animating anything, I'll help you out." And then someone else was like, "I can help you with your boards and stuff." So cute. I love it when people stick together.
Yeah, and that's one of the most valuable things you can take away from like any art conversation is just being a part of the art community is great, and there's so many supportive people that love helping each other out. So like I think that might be the most important piece of advice, like more than study this, study that, practice this. It's more just make cool art friends and become part of the art community, because that's like the fastest way to get opportunities and to like find cool art experiences.
And to push on what you said, like there's so many good people out there. So let it be known, if you're sticking with people that are not bringing you joy in this industry, like just face the other direction. You're gonna find people that are wholesome. Mm-hmm. So,
yep, there's
you're not alone in there.
Plenty of great positive people in the art community, and it doesn't take too much work to find.
Yeah,
just go exploring, go become part of the community, and good things will happen.
Yeah, and if you want to join a community, I'll put a link to some links in the chat. I have my personal art community linked to my YouTube channel, but there's also the Discord community, so I'm going to link both in the chat. And with that, I think we will be on our way. Do you have any last words? One word.
Drawings are cool.
Drawings are cool.
Drawings are
all right. Well, my last words is stay hydrated and take walks. Go walk.
Oh, yeah, everybody. Yeah, take a walk. Stretch.
I walk my Pikmins every day on Pikmin Bloom. All right.
Oh, lovely.
So you can check out our streams. We stream a few times every week. There's more information on the Toon Boom website on the community page. So go check it out and have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, we said it at the same time.
Wow.